Welcome into the Ranch Sit Down. Our guest today, born and raised in beautiful Stephenville, Texas, Erath County.
Stephenville, Texas.
The great Jon Young. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, brother?
It's good to see you again, man. It's been a while.
It has.
Been working on some new music. You sent me like 3 or 4 songs. Dude, they're phenomenal.
Thank you so much. I sure appreciate you listening. I really appreciate you playing them. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
Tell me about this new music you've been working on.
So we've been working on a new record for probably about 2 years. And really all of this came to be during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So this new album has basically kind of a theme to the record. And it's just all of the feelings that we were going through and all the things that we experienced during the pandemic. So a lot of these songs have very personal a very personal feel to them, and a lot of things that I think a lot of people are going to end up being able to relate to from that whole experience.
So this was like a generalization of what people were going through, or just what you were going through during the pandemic?
Well, it's always what I'm going through.
Right.
When I write, I write more from my experience.
You're more personal.
Right. And my wife claims that there's a different meaning to the record that has to do with her, but you know. That's I think everybody can take it for however they want to.
That's a well-written song, though, that anybody can see it. The 5 different people can have 5 different interpretations of it, which is really cool.
It's always nice when people come to you and they tell you exactly what they think that your song means,
right?
And that it means something to them personally. That's a beautiful thing. That means you've connected with them, and that song is it's become part of what they experience as well.
Do you ever have that where somebody comes up and tells you what a song means, and you're like, what are you talking about?
All the time, all the time. And it's great because I usually just say, yeah, that's it. You got it. Nailed it.
Told you that song was about the Easter Bunny.
Yeah. You nailed
nod
it.
And wave.
Way to go.
Nod and wave, absolutely. So you write this during the pandemic. Like, what was your process of writing this album? Did you like just, I mean, we didn't have anything to do, so we just kind of wait for inspiration, or were you like, I got to be focused, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to try to write a song today?
Well, it basically just when they came to me, it was I had to go back working full time doing plumbing. So I had started doing plumbing again, and we were still rehearsing and practicing twice a week with the band, and had a lot of time. You know, all of our shows got canceled.
Yeah,
and it was basically everybody was in the same boat, and so I took a lot of that to heart, and I just wanted to. It was basically just me writing about my experience. And I didn't realize it until we had all these songs in front of us that it all had the common theme of that pandemic. It wasn't like I set out to write a record that was going to be...
It wasn't the pandemic album.
No, it wasn't a concept record until the very end. And then it kind of turned into my experience during the whole pandemic. And so it's interesting to look back at it now and know where every song came from. And they all have a very specific meaning to me. But that, like I said, that's the beautiful thing about it is it may mean one thing to me and it's going to mean something completely different to everybody else.
That's crazy. Is there a song on there about running out of toilet paper?
No.
Well,
no, but hard times could probably be.
Well, yeah. If you're using paper towel.
Yeah.
So yeah, you told me when you were sending the song, there's a line at the end of Hard Times that's a line that your grandpa used.
Yes. Yeah. At the end of every drought, there always comes a rain, and I grew up hearing that. And he was born in 1905. He was a Great Depression. I mean, he was in his 20s in the Great Depression. Grew up just picking cotton, traveling farm to farm, and when the Great Depression hit, he traveled all over the United States looking for work. And my father always used to say that line, and as a little kid, you know, you're like, well, duh, at the end of every drought, there always comes a good rain.
Right.
But as an adult, you start to kind of analyze that, and from the farmer's side of it, these are guys that lived through the Dust Bowl.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Literally, like, they were waiting for rain to save their lives, to bring their farm back so that they could exist. And so that line became very powerful for me. And I knew that someday I was going to use it in a song. But when I wrote that song, I had him in mind, and I had my mother's father in mind as well. So between the two men, that's their story.
It's such a hopeful, promising line. It really is.
It really is.
It's beautiful in so many ways.
It really is. And it's that old farmer just wisdom, you know. And I love a lot of that because it's very simple, but it's so true. You know, it's like no matter... It's like one of those, the day is always darkest before the dawn.
Right.
You know, just somebody trying to tell you something in the most simple way possible, but it's beautiful.
Nothing to fear but fear itself. Yeah, I mean, it's just those powerful lines that seem so simple.
And you know, they had to say it to themselves to survive what they survived.
Boy, amen.
And so when I wrote that song right around the time that Kenny Rogers died, which was like 2020, just right after the lockdown.
Yeah.
And it was just such a reminder of how easily things can change and how fast things changed. And you know, we'd gone from playing a show every weekend and on the road and just traveling to all of a sudden we didn't have a job. And we had all this musical equipment, all these, you know, gigs that just evaporated.
These huge investment is what you had,
massive. And so you have to take a step back and realize that sometimes surviving those hard times is what life is about. That's what teaches us to be better humans, what makes us into the strong people that we become.
Right.
So, you know, if you went through your whole life and you had everything given to you and you never had to deal with anything that hurt, you wouldn't be nearly as a complete human as if you had to deal with that. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has something in their life that they've had to deal with and just survive and come out the other side a better person. So that's what that song was about.
It seems like everybody that's been handed things to them their entire life, they're just not good people.
Right.
I mean, really, I hate to say it, but it's just the truth. It's cliche, but it's pretty true.
Yeah, you get to a point, I think you just don't appreciate it as much as if you had to work for it and if you had to struggle and if you had to toil.
Kids these days.
That's right.
That's where we're at.
That's right.
We just became two old men, John.
Yeah, I know. That's great. Yeah.
That's what happened. So you began playing music at a very early age.
I did.
So what got you into music in the first place?
A lot of it had to do with the bands that I was listening to growing up. I was a huge Asleep at the Wheel fan because of my dad. My mom was into more classic rock, so I grew up listening to the Beatles and a lot of...
You've always been a big Beatles fan. Yeah.
Love the Beatles. I just love music.
Yeah.
And so I had always wanted to do music. And so at an early age, I was part of a singing group with a whole bunch of kids.
Oh, yeah?
And all we did was just sing old songs like, you know, just the most ridiculous songs. Put another nickel in that Nickelodeon kind of stuff.
Right.
And just it was like three moms and each of them had two kids apiece and they just made a singing group. We all went around and like 6 through about 12 years old was the spread, and we would go to nursing homes and, you know,
just entertain the troops,
for the Lions Club or the Optimist Club, whatever club we were playing.
Right.
And I think that's where I originally got the itch for it. But growing up in Stephenville, there was a lot of music around.
Yeah.
And really a lot of people involved in some very big music. And that really kind of pushed me into music itself. And my first band was a rock band.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was 1996. That was kind of the
You had to be a rock band in the 90s.
Band.
Yeah.
But we didn't really fit in Stephenville, Texas. We were there was like 2 rock bands, and then basically, I don't even remember any of the country bands. But they were just, at one point, Stephenville was just very, you know, it was just a few little local bands.
Yeah.
And so there was some guys that I looked up to that they were doing it, and I wanted to do it, and I saw it, and so from a very early age, I learned to play the guitar at 14, around there.
Yeah.
Wrote my first song probably at 15.
Do you remember that first song?
Vaguely.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, it's about as simple as you can get, and I always tell new writers when they're writing, it's just write.
Yeah,
always
just
keep writing.
Yeah.
Because your first song will always be, you know, just the most simple of rhymes, and it's usually about a girl, or it's about something as basic as just, you know, love, which is not basic at all.
You're right.
You know, but those kind of songs, they're important in making you a better artist as you go down the road. So by about the age of 16, I played my first show in Bostock's.
Oh, yeah. God, I miss that place.
I mean, I wasn't even old enough to get in the door, but I was very tall at the time.
Right.
So they kind of made some exceptions.
I think Mark looked the other way a few times.
Oh, yeah. Mark Bostock definitely looked the other way. And once he got to know me, he was like, "You weren't over 18 3 years ago, were you?" No.
It's like, it's too late now, man. Statute of limitations is over on that one, buddy.
Yeah, it was good times, though. In Bostock, we played some city limit shows.
Yeah.
We even played the old Cutting Horse.
Yeah. Oh, man, I vaguely remember being at the Cutting Horse.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy. It's a bar within a Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
In Stephenville, which none of that exists anymore. It's all gone as well.
Golly.
Which is a lot of Stephenville's like that.
Yeah.
But those were kind of our original haunts, and we were just, you know, like you are when you get started, you're more of a cover band than you are anything else, because you have to fill time. But when we get ready to do our songs, you know, we passionately do our songs, even if they weren't very good, and that's what being a musician's all about. And coming up in it, you just work until you figure out your craft.
You figure out who you are.
That's right.
Yeah. So when did you figure out? Did you figure out who you are?
Today?
as an artist? It was today?
No.
No.
Well, no. I mean, as an artist
Like,
today.
wow, it's good timing that you came in here today.
Yeah, I've gone through phases for sure.
Yeah.
What made me the artist that I am today, and it's funny, your dad was involved in this.
Oh, yeah?
But,
was there bail money in this?
No.
Okay, good. It's a story we can tell.
It is a story we can tell.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
Larry Joe Taylor Festival was going on.
Yep.
This was probably like 2005 or 6, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I had just come out of my band that I'd been in for a long time. Was kind of rediscovering myself, was getting into folk music real heavily, and changing the way I thought about songs. And a buddy of mine, Craig Parks, who worked at Bostocks, he called me and he said, "You got to get up to Bostocks right now. They're doing some really neat stuff up here." So I didn't really think twice. I just went up there, and it was Larry Joe, Richard Lee, what's the Cheeseburger in Paradise?
Keith Sykes.
Keith Sykes,
yeah.
Yep. There was.
I remember that.
I mean, it was an incredible lineup.
It was to promote the festival, and I remember that.
And
yeah.
literally nobody showed up. It was an empty bar, and we sat there and we watched them, and we were just blown away at how good all of them were. You know, Richard Lee alone has written like #1 hits,
like 6 or 7 number one songs.
It's incredible. So after the show, they invited us to come hang out at their hotel, which was the Texas Motor Inn out there towards Dublin.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I just I went. I'm going to go hang out with these guys.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we just all hung out in a hotel room, and they passed around Richard's classical guitar, and they all just played songs. And you're talking about a pedigree that's insane.
Yeah.
There's so many songwriters in that one room, you know, and really a lot of people that look up to those songwriters themselves. And the moment where I knew what I wanted to do was Richard Lee played a song called "Somewhere in My Broken Heart."
Oh, yeah.
That Billy Dean made famous.
Yeah.
He got to the end of it, and I looked around, and a whole group of grown men had tears in their eyes because it was just beautiful. Everything he did, he played the lead. He did fingerstyle. So it started me. I threw away my pick and just started just playing fingerstyle, and I did that for years. I wanted to be a better fingerstyle guitarist. And that you know, that's worked its way into a lot of my music. But that was the moment where I knew I wanted to do something. I wanted to tell stories. I wanted to be a very personal experience and try to do what these guys have been doing. And it was just, they handed me a guitar and I played one of my songs next to theirs, and it was kind of a night and day. You know, I started thinking, I'm just like, I gotta do better.
Right.
And out of that one experience, I went home and I wrote like 2 or 3 songs, and then just kept going from there. And that's led me to be where I'm at today.
Does Richard Lee even know how much you inspired him that night?
I have told
Have you
him
told him that story?
Every time I see him,
he's such an incredible
I
guy.
hug his neck and tell him I love him because he's incredible.
Oh, that guy that'll show up to a music festival in a 3-piece suit.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Like a $3,000 suit.
Yeah. Richard Lee is incredible.
He really
For those
is.
of you that don't know, he wrote "Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue," "Crystal Gale," "The Man I Never Knew" for Reba McEntire.
Yeah.
Like his songs are
like huge songs that live on forever.
He's so nonchalant about it.
Yeah.
It's funny because one of my favorite albums growing up was a Don Williams record called Yellow Moon. And it was because my dad had it on cassette tape, and we'd listen to it while we were out riding around feeding horses or whatever.
Right.
And I love that record. But when streaming took off, there was something, I'm almost guessing it was legal, but it kind of didn't make it over to streaming. So you had all these collection of very good Don Williams songs that really were just lost.
Nobody knew,
that nobody knew.
Yeah.
And I had the vinyl record, and I started, you know, one night, one of my favorite songs was "Wrong End of the Rainbow." And I started looking, and it was a Richard Lee song.
Oh, my gosh.
And I brought it up to him one time when I saw him right after that. I said, "Richard, do you remember writing a song for this album for a Don Williams record?" And it was so funny because he took a second, and he said, "Yeah, that was a good little song. That was a fun little song. I'm glad that Don cut that one. That sure was a fun little song.
Fun little song.
Yeah, and the song
is
beautiful, and it's so just poetic and gorgeous. And Richard Lee's just like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." He said, "Thank you." I told him I was going to bring that record up and just have him sign it because it'd be interesting for sure. I love Richard.
That is very cool. Yeah. So why do you, Jon Young? Why do you write songs?
It's therapeutic.
Is that what it is?
It is for me, but I you know, a lot of my songs kind of come to me in very strange ways where I have to get them out. I have to put them down on paper. I have to get it written. It's almost
It just take over your brain the whole time until it comes out.
And it's just from years of just of doing it. And like I said, it's become more of almost therapy for me to just express what I'm feeling rather than saying it out loud. Put it in a song that maybe, you know, like we were talking about earlier, could have meaning, completely different meaning for everybody that listens to it.
Yeah.
But that's why I do it. And, you know, besides that, any musician will tell you, you have those times you get on stage and you're working that audience and they're in the palm of your hand. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, that's a lot. Most of us are chasing the beauty of that.
That's got to be an incredible feeling.
It's an incredible feeling.
When you realize you've reached somebody.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, it's not an easy industry to be in. There's a lot of ups and downs, and you see the people that come in and out. There's a lot of changes through time, but the music is what everybody loves.
Right.
And even your guys that are doing it just to write songs to make money rather than just writing songs, they love music. So that's where I'm at. Is I love music, and that's why a lot of my records don't really have a genre as much as they just have. I like music, and I write whatever songs I feel.
Right.
So if it has more of a rock vibe, then, you know, that's so be it. If it has more of a country vibe, I've got songs that kind of have an R&B flavor to them, a little bit of blues. You know, I think I feel like it's a superpower within.
You just can't make a decision. I got
that's
it.
Right. Yeah. We call it a genre.
Genre? Yeah, there you go.
It's my genre.
Right. Well, how about a song?
All right.
Do you mind?
I don't mind.
Well, good. Since you love music, tell us what we're going to hear, Jon Young.
I'm going to play a song called Magnolia.
Oh, I love this one.
The night closes in. There are whispers on the breeze, hypnotic melodies as old as time. And all I can say is that I'm thankful every day. Even when I'm far away, you're always right there on my mind. 'Cause I miss you. You're the peace while I'm asleep. My favorite memories, my shelter from the storm. 3 more days, and I'll be home to you, darling. Meet me in the moonlight when the magnolia blooms. I used to think it was better to burn out than to fade away, but I'm not so sure these days. The whole damn past is full of cinder and smoke. What a mess I've made. Still I would not change a thing. 'Cause through the heartache and the pain, I ended up right where I belong. Gotta miss you. You're the strength when I am weak, my favorite melodies, my shelter from the storm. 3 more days, and I'll be home to you, darling. Meet me in the moonlight when the magnolia blooms. How many days did I fail to see the beauty, the love, and the pageantry of this life of mine? Good God, I played the fool. What would it take to alleviate this pain in my heart as it's starting to break? The soft, gentle breeze brings a smile to my face. My love, I'm coming home.
Very nice, man.
Thank you
I
so
love
much.
that song. Love that song. Jon Young hanging out with us on the ranch. Now we were talking a little bit about how you're a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and
Right.
I love that about artists when I can't describe what genre they're in, but inevitably you're going to be running around the countryside in a van, and you're going to stop at a gas station. You guys are going to all pile out and go, "Oh, you guys in a band?" Yeah. And the question is, what kind of music do y'all play? How do you answer that?
Luckily, they came up with the Americana.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's a nice hodgepodge. You know, you can say, "Oh, we're a little bit of country, a little bit of blues, a little bit of rock and roll, a little bit of this, a little bit of that."
Uh-huh.
It's Americana. You know, and it's a nice little title that it doesn't have to be, "Oh, we're a country band. Oh, we're a Texas country band."
Right.
Because we're in the reality, we're a Texas band.
Right.
But
yeah.
we play in the Texas country music.
Yeah, because if you're a country band, oh, do you guys know that Applebee song? I love that song. So, well, it's a little different.
And we are well versed in honky tonk. We've had to work our way through the state playing lots
Right.
of honky tonks.
Yep.
And as a lot of artists have.
Yeah.
And so
Oh, yeah.
you know, we can play the ones you want to hear. But you know, we play our music the best.
What are some of your favorite venues to play right now?
Right now, we just played one this weekend that's really interesting.
Uh-huh.
It's in Amarillo.
Okay.
We were actually in Amarillo this weekend, which the fires were going.
Oh yeah.
So it was, you know, it was kind of a little bit stressful as far as just making sure everything was going to be okay getting there. But it's a really old place called the Western Horseman Club.
Uh-huh.
And apparently in its heyday, this is where all of the big acts would come. Whenever it came through Amarillo, a lot of huge people played it.
Really?
And so it had its heyday from, I think, the late 70s through the 90s at some point. And then somewhere along the line, it went downhill. And it became like the scary part of town. It became the scary club where
Oh wow.
there was some less than...
You didn't want to go there after dark.
Right.
That kind of yeah.
And so it had been like that for a long time. And then I think they had almost shut down. But they just reopened it, and we were, I think, the third band to come back with with the new
cool.
owners after they'd remodeled. And we have a good time there. I mean, it's dancing all night. It's very fun. It usually ends up being just a heck of a time.
That is really cool. I didn't know that was open again.
Oh yeah.
Because I've heard about that,
You
but
heard
that's
that one?
years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago.
Well, like I said, at one point it was. I mean, it's famous for. They said George Strait played there. We heard all sorts of names of people that have played that place.
Jon Young played there. I don't know if you know that.
Jon
It's a big
Young,
deal.
yeah. Good old Jon Young band.
Good old Jon Young band. So you're still a Beatles fan.
I am.
The Beatles music is just so layered. There's so much that goes on, and you hear a lot of that in your music too,
Yeah,
especially in
for
this new stuff.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yes. Yeah, that's and you know like I said when I said I love music, I love music. You know, I mean,
You love being creative.
I love being
with
creative.
music. Yeah,
I like
which is
using
cool.
what we do in a sense where we can make a complete picture out of what we're given as far as tonally, you know, the color, the texture of what we're making, you know, comes out in the songs. And so that's always the pursuit for me, is trying to make something that I would listen to, something that I'm proud of, and that's, you know, I feel like we've done that. We've made interesting music and really just done our best to do it the way we want to do it, and not have anybody tell us who we need to sound like or who we need to be.
Proud of you for doing that, man.
Thank you.
I am.
Yeah.
And so I was looking you up today on your website, and I realized that quote that I gave you years ago is still on there. Yeah, like you are, and you still are a true artist.
I love that.
In every sense of the word, man. I love that about you.
Well, you know, we put that in some of our stuff just because it's such a good quote.
Maybe that's what derailed your career, though.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Oh, Shayne likes you? Never mind.
No, yeah, that's not going to be the thing that derailed our career. I think a lot of times just not having a country genre, you know, base, it gets a little hard in Texas, you know, because
certain
like
parts,
said,
yeah.
nobody knows exactly what you're doing fully, you know.
Yeah.
But if you make good music and you just go out there and make the best music that you can, I don't think it really matters. I think you can make good music and still exist in this scene without just being, you know, a country artist.
What I've liked to use when I use the term Americana to people and they don't know what that is, I'll tell them, well, Chris Stapleton was Americana before he got really super popular.
Right.
And they're like, okay, I got it, you know, because it's a little country, but it's not quite mainstream country.
You know,
yeah.
Almost kind of an R&B flavor.
Yeah,
to it.
I mean, there's a lot of different elements to it, and that's why We did Americana Fest back in September in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
And brought like 10 different artists from the Fort Worth area up with us, and ran into, Caitlin Butts and the Panhandlers out there. And I asked every one of them the same question: what is Americana music? And everybody has a different answer for it. And that's what makes it so fun.
That is. That's it. That's
what
Americana.
I love, and that's what's cool. I mean, it's the same thing as the Texas music scene.
Yeah.
It can be whatever you want it to be.
Right. That's
and
right.
we're dang proud of that.
That is, yes. And I recently took a trip out to Reno, and I was hanging out with some other musicians, and he told me, he said, you guys in Texas are incredible. He said, I've never met a band from Texas that wasn't good. And he's like, y'all are hitting the road, driving hundreds of miles to go play these little tiny shows.
Yeah.
He's like, there's nobody else out here that's doing this much work. And he was just amazed. He said, I don't even know how there could be that much talent in one state. And then I told him it's just massive. So, of course, there's just...
Yeah, there's a lot of us.
There's a lot of us. But there is something special about Texas. We've got a proud history of music. And we're not afraid to tell people.
Absolutely. So what's the next goal for the Jon Young Band?
We're going to get our new record is ready to put out.
Okay.
We just have to find a good time to do it. We're looking at probably spring, but...
Okay.
You know how it is with all of that. It'll probably end up being fall.
Right.
Yeah, it's just how that's the nature of the beast. Your best made plans of mice and men.
Right,
so
right.
If we can get it out in spring, then we're doing some release shows.
Good.
Try to get into some interesting places around here and just hit the road. Go show the world what we've been up to.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
How about one more song, John?
Let's do it.
What are we going to hear?
I think we're going to do Hard Times.
Oh, man, good.
This one, usually our drummer is keeping a nice beat underneath it during the song so that we can kind of, let the chords ring out.
Yeah.
We're going to do our best to just fill in the gaps.
Okay, good luck.
All right. Hard times make hard people. Don't forget, son, where you come from. Whoa, for every good day there are gonna be bad ones. Oh, count your blessings every chance you get before it's too late. My grandpa was born in 1922. He survived the Great Depression and fought in World War II. He called it like he saw it. Lord, he worked his whole life through. In his eyes, I could feel his wisdom. In his words, I could hear his truth. He said, hard times make hard people. Don't forget, son, where you come from. Oh, for every good day there's gonna be bad ones. Oh, count your blessings every chance you get before it's too late. Woo. Uncertainty and changes. Grandpa raised his kids to love just like Jesus, to forgive and forget. 'Cause at the end of every drought there always comes a rain. Singing glory, hallelujah, I can hear his words again. He said hard times make hard people. Don't forget, son, where you come from. Oh, for every good day there's gonna be bad ones. Oh, count your blessings every chance you get before it's too late. He said hard times make hard people. Don't forget, son, where you come from. Oh, for every good day gonna be bad ones. Oh, count your blessings every chance you get before it's too late. Count your blessings every chance you get
Yes, sir. Oh,
Thank
man,
you.
that's such a good song. That is
I
a great
appreciate
song.
that.
Jon Young hanging out with us here on the ranch, man. I cannot wait to hear the rest of this album.
Oh, I can't wait to show it
Just
to
where
you.
you are. I've heard, 3 songs off of it. And
Yeah.
I'm already just antsy.
That's great. Oh, that's fantastic. I love that.
It's good stuff, man.
Thank you so
it really
much.
is. Really
Yeah.
is. So hopefully spring, maybe fall.
Hopefully
we'll see.
spring, maybe fall.
I need
Yeah.
to pay off some people for you. For that help.
Yeah. That never hurts, right?
Right? That's true.
Yeah.
So, buddy, thank you so much for coming in and
Thank you
chatting
so
with
much
us.
for having us today. We sure appreciate you.
Been a
It's
pleasure.
Fantastic.
Go see him on the road somewhere, the Jon Young Band. Jon, thanks, bud.
Thank you, sir.
Good job, ma'am.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that was good. God, that's such a good